turned on my screen, so you should be able to see it. Welcome to our Lunch and Learn session for today on Project Management Best Practice. My name is Sarah Lucas, and I will be hosting today's session. During our presentation, if you have any questions, please enter them in the GoToMeeting chat window. I will do my best to answer all of your questions before the end of today's Lunch and Learn. If I have not answered the questions, I will be sending out a follow-up email later today that will include all the Q&As. Today our topics will cover project management best practices, including panels versus candid pages, project plans and working with a team, and general design tips to help get you heading in the right direction. So let's get started. Yearbooks are usually composed of two kinds of pages, panels and candids. Panel pages are what makes a yearbook different from a regular photo book and only enabled by using a Yearbook Fusion license provided by a yearbook publishing company. A panel or portrait page is a standard presentation style for portraits. It consists of a grid displaying portraits with names next to or under the photos. Yearbook Fusion allows you to automate the production of the panel pages by importing the images with a database. You can customize the panels and make changes to the data. A candid page resembles a scrapbook or photo book, contains columns, custom text, informal photos of people and events. Candid pages can be created from scratch by dragging and dropping images and graphics onto the page or by using customizable templates. The yearbook manager will act as a primary contact between the school and yearbook company. Lay out your book. Here, the yearbook manager will determine the sections for inclusion in the book. They can then assign tasks to team members, such as photography, page design, proofreading, etc. They should also organize images. Create a folder system where images can be stored. Set deadlines to submit work. Assemble and proof the yearbook. Submit the book to the yearbook publisher. The yearbook manager will often be responsible for importing the PSPA file, which is used to create the panel pages. He or she is usually also responsible for the proofing of the yearbook and getting it submitted to the publisher. Now, the yearbook manager is likely working with a team, and each team member may have one or more sections assigned to them with an expected page count for each section. This is particularly important if the yearbook is limited to a specific number of pages by the publisher. The team members can all work on these separate projects. Now let's take a look at how the project manager and team can map out the project in the various sections to get things set up for success. The secret to creating a successful yearbook is to map the project out before you put a single image to canvas. The bulk of your time will be spent organizing images and determining the flow of your yearbook into pages and sections. Once this is done, the page design process will be a breeze. So use your book ladder to create the layout of the book and to make the entire process less daunting. Start planning early in the year, not a couple weeks before the project is due. Don't stress yourself out. To begin, consult the school calendar from the previous year and current year to determine what the big events in the school will be. Look for recurring events, performances, fundraisers, fairs, dances, sporting events, clubs, etc. Do any staff members need special pages, such as a note from the principal or a page for awards of merit for faculty? Reserve a few pages for everyday life at the school, life at the cafeteria, study hall, library, and so on. Also be sure to have a few pages free for the unexpected. Both happy and sad events need to be chronicled at your school, and not every event is planned or expected. Once we have mapped out our design and know what will be included, you can then create the layout in the software. This section is on the Managing Your Project Files. So File Management 101. If remote storage is not being used, you will need to choose and remember. Always make note of the directory and folder where you are saving your work to ensure you will be able to find them again on the computer. It is important that we always remember to choose where we are saving a file. To save a project in Yearbook Fusion, simply click on the Save or Save and Close buttons in the upper right corner to save your changes. If you need to make a copy of a revised page but want to keep the original, you can then go to the File menu and choose Save As and give the file a new name. Do not use Save As to update a file. Save As makes a copy, which results in multiple versions of a single project. Depending on the working environment of the team, projects can be shared in several ways. On a network, it is important that every computer accessing a common folder see the same drive letter, meaning if computer 1 sees a network drive called Y, computer 2, 3, 4, etc., also sees the same drive as Y and not another letter. This is important because Yearbook Fusion will trace the images dropped into the project back to their original location, and the project needs to find the images in exactly the same place all the time, or it will report the images as missing. Remote storage. This is a license that allows you to save to the cloud on our LumaPix servers. This feature enables file sharing within Yearbook Fusion without dependence on a local network storage. With remote storage, members of a yearbook committee can work from home, in the school, or any location with internet access, sharing project files from their folder on the server. Then there is local storage. This solution works best when individuals are working on their own and not required to share files on a regular basis. When they are required to transfer a project, they will need to use the Archive and Restore feature. We will now take a closer look at laying out our yearbook and managing the files when using remote storage and without remote storage. So I have switched over to our Yearbook Fusion desktop software, but with an account that does not have remote storage. As you can see, we have our new and open. So as we know, the project manager is usually the person who will control the final assembled book project, the master project. The master project will contain the panel pages and the database that allows the panel images to be organized and labeled. When saving locally or to a network, remember only one project can contain the panel pages and the database, as two projects, each with a database, cannot be merged. To add projects to the master project, all of the projects must be available to the yearbook manager, either by transferring through an archive file or having them available on a shared network. If multiple users are saving locally, they will need to use the Archive Restore to transfer a project from one computer to another. So the team member with the smaller file can have the file open, come up here in the left-hand corner, go to our File menu, Archive Restore, and Archive. This will create a scrap package file, and it can then be saved to a USB or DVD. The USB stick or DVD would then be provided to the yearbook manager, who can then restore the file and insert it into the master project. So once the yearbook manager has said USB stick or DVD, they would go File, Archive Restore, and locate the scrap package. Yearbook Fusion will deposit the images into a folder of your choice and reopen the project. You can then save the project locally and then proceed with inserting that project into the master project using the Pages hover. Once the yearbook manager has access to all the component projects available, then the master project with panel pages should be opened. From the Pages hover, the current contents of the book will be visible in the thumbnail view. To bring in the other projects, we will come up here to our Add Pages button, right-click, go to Existing Sections. You can then browse for smaller projects, such as my Valentine's Dance. Select Open. The project will be inserted after the page you're on. So I was on inside cover, so the Valentine's Day is there. To manage the pages on the Pages hover, you can simply click and drag them into position, or you can use the arrows here. Candid pages can be inserted in between panel pages, but not vice versa. If you need to delete a page, you can also select it, and you can use the delete button with the red X over here, or you can right click and go delete page. Select yes. So that is how you would manage the files when dealing with a team, not using remote storage. So now I'm going to switch over my software to an account that is set up with remote storage. So with remote storage, you will see a different software. You will get what we call the My Book tab, and you will have this ladder. So to actually build the layout of your book, you can use the Add Pages button, and you can use templates, or if you just want to build the layout, go straight to blank and create a few sections. Whatever name you enter in the title field will be the name of that project. You can leave it as a single page or create multiple pages for that section. But in this case, I'm going to leave it as single pages. And this double page option is how you can turn them into double page spreads. So I'm going to create a few sections here all at once. You don't have to create it all at once, but you don't have to do it one at a time either. So as you see, I've done 4 different sections, so I'll now select Create. And this will just take a moment because it's creating the pages as well as doing the very first initial save and placing the items in remote storage. All right, so as you can see, we now have 4 pages. When I hover over them, the top gray bar shows the name of the file. And the bottom color bar here, which is currently red, indicates the status of the page, which is currently not started. So to move the pages around, you would simply just highlight the one you want, click, and then drag, and you see a blue line with the arrows appearing. So as you can see now, I put the admin greeting before the inside cover, which, doesn't make much sense. So we'll put the inside cover back up. So that's how you move the pages around. To delete a page or section from the book ladder here, you would hover over the page and then simply select the remove this section here. It'll ask if you're sure, hit yes. Now that does not permanently delete the file, it's just removed it from the ladder. So if you've changed your mind or it's an accident, you can go to the Add Pages, My Sections, and you will see that all 4 of them are still in here. You can do a filter to say what's not in book, and there's the one file, and we can add it back by pressing the button there. Now, when you're in the My Sections, if you right click and hit delete, that will delete it from the remote storage. We do have a backup at the LumaPix servers, a kind of recycle bin. So if it's accidentally deleted from here, quick phone call or email can help restore it back, but just be careful when deleting files from the My Sections area. Another thing for Teams is our photos here. This is where you also get a Dropbox account where images can be uploaded and then everybody on the team will have access to them. Once I click in the Dropbox, you'll see that there is a website above here that can be distributed to non-yearbook people to provide images. A lot of people prefer structure to their images, so like different folders. So you can come in here, right click, new directory, and give the folder a name. So you can create as many folders in here as you feel necessary. And then if you have been contacted by a parent who has really good photos for the concert, you can go into that folder, retrieve that folder's specific website, and give that website to the parent. They can then enter into any browser. All they'll see is this Add Images button, and then that will open a browser that allows them to upload images from their computer. The only other things people will see if they're given that website is any other photos that are stored on the Dropbox. They can't edit them, they can't delete, and they can't download them, but they will see them. Now this photo will be available to anybody who's part of my yearbook team. The other section for project management would be our team tab here. Over here, you can create up to 40 different team members with their own user ID and passwords. So I'll select the Add Team Member button, create a custom user ID, password, name. The email is optional. If you're not going to send a confirmation email, you don't have to put an email. The confirmation email provides them the user ID and a download link. We then have 4 different roles: co-manager, advisor, senior editor, editor. To see the differences, you can click there, and here's a chart. So the co-manager is full access. It's no different than the main school user ID. The advisor, they can edit any page. They can remove them and reorder them. And they can actually submit the pages ready for approval and also reject them. Senior editor can edit any page, but they can't change the page order or approve or reject or manage users. Editor is nice, especially when students are involved. Editor is quite popular for the students because it locks it down. It makes it so that they can only edit sections they've been assigned to. So I like the editor level, so I'll select that, hit Save Changes. Now for anybody who's been given the editor role, must be assigned to a page or they won't be able to edit anything. When they sign in, they'll see the whole book, but they can't open anything into edit mode. So to make sure that user 1 can actually do some work, I'll come to my menu here and you'll see this silhouette where it says assign this page for editing. Select that. So now when user 1 signs in, they'll see the whole book and most of it will be kind of dulled out, but page 1 here will be nice and vibrant and they'll have the edit icon that will take them into edit mode. So by going into edit mode, it will change the project status from not started. So we'll open this up. And I'm just going to drop an image on the canvas. I'll then hit Save and Close in my upper right corner. And then as you'll see, the status on the bottom of the page is automatically changed to a different color and now says In Progress. Once a page is what somebody considers done, they can actually submit it for review by using this button here on the end, Submit for Review. So I'll say yes. Now the people that will be advised that there's a page ready for review is anybody with a manager or co-manager user ID. And again, you can see for review and it's yellow. So I'm signed in as a manager as the main school's user ID. So I have this admin tab. There I can go and have a page overview, see how things are coming. So a lot of my book is not started. Only one chunk is ready for review. Over here we do have a page count. So it's telling me here there's currently 4 pages created and I don't have a maximum. That's an infinity sign. Now that is based on the page count that is entered in RepAdmin when you first set up a school. A lot of publishers leave it as 0, so that's why you'll get an infinity sign. But if you really want to prevent them from creating more, because you know publishers usually negotiate your book pricing based on a page count. So you can go to RepAdmin and set the maximum. So as a yearbook manager, I can also now go back here and I have two options. Mark this page as rejected or mark it as approved. Well, it's nowhere near done, so I'm actually going to reject the review, and the status is now back to in progress. So as you can see, it's a very handy setup when dealing with the team environment. Okay, so next, this section is on design tips, and it covers 4 tips to consider from a design perspective. These tips are not related to your creativity as a graphic designer. These are key considerations that anyone should consider, no matter their creative talent. So let's take a look. Tip 1 is to plan the design. We talked about this earlier, but it bears repeating. The first secret to creating a successful yearbook is to map the project out before you put a single image to canvas. The bulk of your time will be spent organizing images and determining the flow of your book into pages and sections. Once this work is done, the page design process will be a breeze. Remember to start planning early in the year and map out your sections. Well-designed yearbooks use color, font, and style to create a specific look, just like a magazine. A book can carry a consistent look across the entirety of all of its pages or across sections within the book. Backgrounds. They define sections with a common background, texture, and color. Use one common background across all panel pages, or at least across each grade. The color will distinguish the sections from one another. Also use a consistent border, size, or color across the sections. Color. Avoid making your book a rainbow of colors on each page. This distracts from the photos and most people will not find it appealing. Pick 3 colors and reuse them across the book, along with neutrals such as white, black, gray, beige. Your book will be unified and the images will be the focus, not the decorations. Font. Pick one font for all titles and headers and another font for body text, such as paragraphs. Do not leave your text in standard Arial. It looks unfinished. You can use other font and text styles to punctuate the book, such as quotations and slogans, but keep the bulk of the text consistent. The number one problem with most yearbooks is using too many images per page. Your yearbook is not where you should be placing every image ever taken at the school, so be selective. You may think that you need to include as many photos as possible so everyone in the school gets their photo in the book. Unfortunately, if you overcrowd your pages with dozens of tiny images, then essentially no one is visible in any of the photos. So don't auto-collage 24 or more images on a page. Pick the best 6 to 10 and feature 1 or 2 prominently, framing them nicely. A yearbook should tell the story of your school year, so select a few good images to tell the story. Select well-composed shots that show faces and people participating in activities. Don't use nondescript shots of group activities or photos with random people's backs facing the camera, such as this one. Faraway shots of sporting events or performances won't let you see what is going on. Tell your photographers to get in close to the action, show faces, zoom in on meaningful objects like the pros do. Don't be afraid to leave blank areas in your book, particularly around the edges of the page. A blank space around the photos frames them, giving them importance. Pushing images too close to the edge risks having them cut off as well when the book is printed. A half-inch margin around the meaningful content on your page will make your pages look professionally designed. If you are not confident about your design abilities, find inspiration in news magazines and scrapbooking websites. Find a page layout you like and copy the general arrangement of text and images on your page. Don't try to reproduce the page element for element, just the general placement elements on the page. Within the Lumapix software, we also have plenty of templates that you can look at for inspiration as well. Examples of badly designed pages. These two pages are very cluttered, and the borders in the second one are way too thick. Readers will not take the time to look at the photos on these pages because they are very small and completely overwhelm the page. There is no story being told. The pages are being used as a dumping ground for images, not as a page to tell a story about the school year. Examples of well-designed pages. The images have been selectively chosen to fit together and the backgrounds complement the images. There is sufficient empty space on the page to give focus to the photos and some text to define the story. Use your school colors for inspiration. If your school has a color theme, use it on your main pages, outside and inside covers, messages from the principal, general news, and the panel section, and so on. Or be inspired by the design of your school. For instance, if the school is painted in a particular color scheme, carry it into the book. Use background photos of your school and surroundings, such as here. Take photos of the floors, murals, lockers, sporting equipment, art displays, school grounds, etc., and use these as background images for your pages. Zoom in on the textures or use blur, black and white, or sepia settings to soften the images. Use quotes and slogans as graphic elements. Text can be used to decorate your book too. Does a teacher have a particular slogan or expression they are famous for using? Does your school have a cheer or a song? Ask students and teachers for one word or one line sentence to sum up their year and pepper these throughout the book. Scan the headlines. Did your school or any of the staff or students get mentioned in the news? Scan or photograph the headline and add it as a ripped banner. I wouldn't recommend adding the whole article unless you have permission from the publication to do so. This concludes our presentation. I would like to thank you for attending our Lunch and Learn for Project Management Best Practice. If you have any questions, please enter them in the chat window and I will stay on the meeting to answer them. Hi Heidi, did you have a question?